What if I told you that most professional painters still make mistakes just like this, but they can easily be fixed right on the spot? Let's go ahead and get strapped up as we get ready to fix this and show you how simple and easy it is to fix defects in the paint booth to yield awesome and beautiful results that you see right here. And welcome back to another episode of Paint Society. Now, this started off like a normal job, like any other job starts off. We put our sealer down and then we use our edge blender, and this is what happened. The solvent from the blender just went on too wet out of the aerosol can, and it completely brought down the sealer. You can see this is the can you can use to melt away that edge. Now, there's a couple different ways you can use this melt away, or you can use the clear base over it. I was using the melt away here. I got a little too heavy on the top, and it just started to run down the panel, and it took the sealer with it. We're gonna go ahead and get suited up, and if you want to get your own lab coat or paint suit, just go ahead in the description and we'll have a link directly on Amazon. Now, the best thing you can do is get this completely dry. So what am I doing after I see that sealer run? I'm not gonna mess with it. I'm gonna go do something else, okay? You saw we're gonna do our spray out card. We do a spray out card with every single job we do as we do it. And we're gonna put our sealer down on the bumper first, okay? We're gonna give about good 20 minutes before we even look at that fender. Most defects by beginners, even professionals, you're in a rush and you try to sand or fix that defect before it can be fixed. So once we put the sealer down here, we're gonna go and do exactly what we did on the fender. That's the edge blender, and that melts away and smooths out the transition of the edge. Now, of course, you could just let this dry for a good 15-20 minutes and go over it if you want it with some 800 grit, kind of lighten it up or smooth out that transition, but that's not what we did here. Now, after 20 minutes, we can see that it's dry enough, and we're going to test it out with some K600 on a hand pad. This stuff will be in the description, the sandpaper. This is the only sandpaper that can get you out of any little defect or any problem. The interface pad, it really softens up the scratch so you're not digging in. You do not want to dig into sealer. Now, it will dry sand, but any sandpaper is going to be a little bit better with the help of some water. Now, this is water-based cleaner, so it's a little bit of a soapy water. And what that does is it prolongs the sandpaper just a little bit, and it helps the cut out. And it's also cleaning while it's doing it. Now, some people might say, why don't you just wipe it off with thinners? You can do that, but it just gets messy. If this was a much worse run or the sealer was much heavier, I would have done that. But here, I was just allowing it to dry since it was just a solvent run. You can see the outline of the sealer. Now, it might feel smooth at this point, but you need to completely remove it. Now, I will tell you, this is not a bad thing that happened. We're sealing on a small fender. We don't have much blend room. So by sanding it down like we're doing here, we're actually cleaning it up, and we're gonna get a much cleaner blend. So you wanna remove that sealer run with that K600. 600 grit is the best grit for this. So we have one more little area left to do here, and once that's completely removed, then we're wiping it off. We're wiping it off always. And at this point, since the sealer is already dry, let's go ahead and sand the rest of the sealer so we have a nice smooth transition. On a metallic, sometimes the sealer can land a little bit funky, and if you have any tiny dust nib, well, the metallic paint is going to highlight it as a metallic booger, is what I would call it, like a little nugget in the metallic. And this is something I even do, even if I don't have a run. Sometimes I'll just go over the sealer just to make sure I'm not going to have any problem. Now, the extended area past the sealer, we're going to use K800. Again, a lot of overspray carried on to the rest of the fender. This is our blend area. We want to keep this small. And the reason why we're using a finer grit is because the end of the blend, the paint is going to be more translucent or transparent. And if it falls into a coarse sand scratch, you're going to see it. Again, with our spray out card, we're going to be using our Walcom, our 360 Genesi. It is an amazing gun. Now, I always do a spray out as I'm painting, so I can always check the color. Now, what we're going to be doing around 23 PSI, we're going to get pretty good coverage here. We're spraying it on wet. Since it's extra slow, it's going to look even wetter. We're using an extra slow reducer always. Now, solvent, it doesn't always land beautiful at the edge of the blend. So by using that extra slow, it just makes it a softer and more easy transition into the rest of the panel. So we're going with about 2 coats here. This is the first coat. And on the bumper, this is a very funky color, so we're going to try to blend. I know that kind of sounds weird here. This is NH830M, and there's at least 10 different variances, and we are not using one of them. We're using a camera reading that I found over a year ago that is really good. It is a touch light, so we add just a little bit of black toner, just a couple drops, and it really gets it to the point where the match on here is great. Now, even though I'm only painting my sealer area, I promise you that overspray is getting over the rest of the bumper, and it will change the color. So even though you think that you're putting color on one area, the overspray will carry and it will change the color. So just keep that in mind. Now, I always go and check my spray out card as I'm painting. This is something I always do. I don't guess anymore and hope that it's going to match. I know that this looks good. If it didn't, I'd add something. This is the right tone, and this is not even cleared. I have a good eye. I can tell that if it's going to match in base without putting clear on it, and if it needs something else. And I'm checking the bumper as well, the front bumper, because the front bumper was not getting painted. It's just going to get bolted back up onto the fender. So that's got to match as well. But luckily for us, this is a really good color match, and it really helped out with the blend. And, you know, I will say this, in order to really have a good blend or to make your life easier, you need to really spend time on the color match. If you don't have a good color match, your blending skills will not matter, because look how tight this is. The hood is full coverage at the top of the fender. We have full coverage at the top of the fender here. So if it doesn't match at the top of the fender to the hood, it's not going to look right. So the color has got to be right. Now, these are my top two guns, I will say, for base. Is the Walcom, the Genesi, the 360. This is a 1.3, and the DV1. Those are my top two base coat guns for metallic. Every time I use these guns, I never have a problem spraying any sort of metallic. It just comes out of the gun and it goes right onto the panel, no problem. Anyone can use these guns and have a great results, but they are expensive. They are very pricey. So if you're a do-it-yourselfer, let's maybe try to get away from those guns. You don't need to spend that much. But professionals, I would highly recommend using a tack rack at the edge of the blend, making sure that it's not too rough. You know, solvent does not dry like water-based. Water-based is going to dry nice and smooth. This is thickened solvent, and we can put all the reducers we want, and we can follow all the rules. But guys, it's 100 degrees in the paint booth right now just spraying. So, you know, we will have to make sure that the edge of our blend where it lands is smooth enough so that there's no funky business going on. Now, my best all-around gun is going to be my Segola, my 4600. I'm still hooked on the older version, but using the newer version as well. This is a digital version. This gun is the best all-around gun. That's what I like about this gun. You can use this 2 or 3 panels comfortably, 1 panel, bumpers, all of that. This is the best all-around gun, I will tell you. I always am using it for the smaller stuff, 2 or 3 panels, and the majority of the type of work that we do at the dealership and our body shop as well. We have the first coat down. Now on camera it looks like a show car, but I guarantee you it does not look like that in person. It's just a nice medium wet coat. It's covered. There might be a couple areas that might need a little bit more attention, but we'll worry about them in the second coat. You don't want to hammer it on. I like around 26 psi for this gun, and it's the weirdest thing. I don't even look at the pressure, but I can tell that the pressure is off just by the feel of the gun and the sound of the gun. And if you paint often, you will feel that same way as well. You know when your gun is not functioning properly. When something is wrong, you know that you have to make an adjustment, you have to open something up, because you as the painter, remember, someone once told me that the gun is controlled by you. The gun does not control you, you control the gun. So the paint should just flow out of the gun. You shouldn't spray and hope that it's going to come out good. And that's what I used to do as a beginner. I'm like, oh gosh, how's it going to come out this time? Will it come out of the spray gun and just be perfect? I don't know. But then I really learned the gun settings and learned that I am the one in charge. I am the one controlling this spray gun. I am the one putting the finish down. The gun does not take advantage of you. When a spray gun starts to run you as a painter, that's when you need to stop take a step back, learn the gun settings, and put yourself in the driver's seat, because you, the painter, you are in control of every paint job. These cars don't come into the paint booth and rule us. They don't take advantage of us. They don't run us. We are the experts in this trade, and we are the ones that are going to make the finish that this car deserves, get back to the customer, and they're going to be happy. That's my end little rant, and that's how you have to attack every single job. You cannot be afraid of these jobs. You still might get those jitters here and there in the paint booth. That is totally humbling and totally normal, but you as a painter have to have the confidence going into the spray booth. You're going to the boxing arena every single time you hit into that spray booth, and you gotta know where your punches are gonna lie. You need to know how you're gonna get out of certain situations, and you can't get down when you are defeated by little issues like we had here in the spray booth. God, I've had a million issues in the spray booth. Even at the end of this job, there was a little hanger that just rolled down the body line here. But I know how to get myself out of it. I got this cool little fest tool, and it's got this little angle on here, and you could just fit the run right in there. I mean, these tools are great nowadays. And it completely slashes off the run. This is 24 hours. It's got to be completely dry, or you can't get away with this. Make sure it's rock hard before you do it. And then I use a little bit of toll cut. I'll leave a link in the description for everything you see in this video. And sand it smooth a little bit, and then I put the buffer on it. Once I put the buffer on it, I mean, you can't even tell where it was. But these things will arise, and I'm telling you, don't feel bad, don't feel discouraged about any of it. This came out really good. I'm really happy about it. And remember, you're only really as good as your last job. I used to think that way, so I always want to do another job to make myself feel better, to really knock it out the park. But you'll learn with every job you do. You get better with every job you do. The people that give up because they get defeated or feel bad, those are the people that aren't going to move on in their life, no matter what it is, no matter what trade. And we've all worked hard. Every single one of you in the comments is working hard to get to this point, and you all can get to this point, and us as professionals can still learn from one another. So I hope you guys learned something from this video. If you guys would attack that a different way, if you got that run, let me know down in the comments, because I, as a painter, still can learn from all of you, especially because in the comments, I know we have people painting triple, quadruple the time that I've actually been in this trade. So thank you to all of you that make a comment and make these videos keep on going. Guys, this is Brian from Paint Society reminding you, don't overthink it. It's just paint. I'll see you guys on the next episode.